this is yet another time we've been granted an opportunity by the Almighty God to be here on this great stage of KUTV once again to take our candidates through the subject that is 565/1 and 2, that is business studies. We are here. Last time we were looking at inflation. We want to continue with that topic, and at the end we are going to see how candidates are supposed to be handling questions in such an area. And just before, my name is Humphrey Sassia. I'm taking the lesson today, business studies from 4. By the end of the lessons, the following objectives must be achieved. 1, the learner should be able to define the term inflation, identify and explain the various types of inflation, and also identify and explain the various causes of inflation. So what is inflation? Inflation refers to the general rise in prices of goods and services in a particular economy accompanied by low purchasing power. The general rise in the prices of goods and services accompanied by low purchasing power of that country's currency. Now in this case, how do you measure the strength of a currency? The power, the purchasing power of a currency. Let's say, for example, the currency that is recognized worldwide is US dollar. That is the strongest and most popular currency. So if one US dollar is equivalent to, say, for example, 100 shillings, maybe dropping from 120 shillings, this is a clear indicator that the local currency is gaining strength, is gaining the purchasing power. Now in this case, if it drops down to 80 shillings, then the local currency is becoming more powerful. That's a clear indicator that the inflation rate is dropping. So inflation refers to a situation where there is general rise in prices of goods and services accompanied by the low purchasing power of that particular local currency. So the opposite of inflation is deflation, where general prices of goods and services drops drastically accompanied by the high purchasing power of that local currency. So in this case, when there is deflation, the currency of that particular country gains strength. It becomes stronger, competing against the world popular currency, which is the US dollar. So then from there we can look at types of inflation. So types of inflation, you are going to look at 3. The first one is moderate inflation. Moderate. We have got galloping, and then we have got hyper stroke runaway. So moderate means slowly by slowly. So in this case, the inflation rate rises at a very low rate in terms of tenths. For example, it can even be, it is between 1 to 10%. It can either be 1 to 10%, 1 to 20%, 1 to 30%, and so on. So in this case, the inflation rate, does not affect the economy so much. It is very mild. It is the rate is very low. Does not affect does not affect the currency. Does not affect the economy so much. So it is called moderate stroke creeping. So it is creeping, crawling slowly by slowly. So that is when the inflation rate is rising slowly or increases slowly at the rate of 10% or in tenths. So it can benefit both the creditors and the debtors depending on the time or period they transact. For example, now if a buyer took goods on credit when the price of a particular product was 20, or it was 20. If he took a product when the price was 20, then at a particular period of time, he is going to pay when this particular product has rose to 25 shillings. is the beneficiary? The data of the creditor. It is the creditor who is going to benefit, because if he sold the goods, the product on credit when the price was at 20, then this person is coming to pay basing on the current market price, which is 25 shillings. That is a clear indicator that it's going to be a benefit to the creditor. Supposing this person took the goods when the price was at 20, but then upon payment it's at 18 shillings. That means it's a benefit to the data. But now, if the terms of engagement during selling, during that time of transaction applies, then the price that was given at that product will still prevail. So in this case, it will depend on the period, the season, the terms of engagement, and also the terms of sale that were looked at while the transaction took place. That is creeping, it is called creeping, moderate stroke mild inflation. Then the second one is galloping stroke rapid inflation. Galloping stroke rapid inflation. So this one, it is the percentage rate, it's between 10 to 100. It is in hundreds, tens and hundreds. So that one is in tens and hundreds. So when you talk of moderate is between ones and tens. Then this one, it is between tens and hundreds. So that is where the particular, the inflation rate rises at quite a higher rate, whereby the rate people will now feel in the economy. The changes will now feel that the purchasing power of that local currency is losing strength. Now, in this case, if the Kenyan shilling is at this point, you find out that maybe it was at 100, US dollar was 100 Kenya shillings, it might rise to something like 105 shillings. A clear indicator that the local currency has now started losing, the value has now started deteriorating, but slowly by slowly. So that is a situation where you talk of the inflation rate ranging or going at a degree, or the change is going at a percentage of tens and hundreds. And then lastly, the last type of inflation is runaway. So this is where the country is at its worst state, whereby you might find out that in such an economy, everybody becomes a millionaire, but poor millionaires. We have got some countries where the currency is printed in notes of hundreds of thousands, maybe even a million. So you find everybody is in possession of cash, but valueless. You find out that everybody is now a millionaire, but poor millionaires. Say, for example, a country in Africa like Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, you can find somebody in possession of 100,000 note. A note of 100,000, but this note can only be used to buy maybe a chicken or a bread. That's a clear indicator that the country's economy is at the worst state. It is totally down to the slopes of inflation, and this particular country is collapsing. The country is totally collapsing. Then you find out that, for example, now if in such a country somebody is now earning salary in cash, they are now going to withdraw money from the bank. They are going to carry money in sacks on wheelbarrows, because he cannot, that money is not even enough to carry in a handbag, in a pouch, in these bags we usually carry them on our backs. It's not such a content, such a amount of money is just high that you cannot even carry in your pocket or even in your handbag. The other time I saw when in Zimbabwe somebody is going to collect their salary, the civil servants are going to collect their salary from the bank. They usually go with a wheelbarrow, with the sacks on a wheelbarrow, because that local currency is just valueless. Notes are printed in thousands, in hundreds of thousands, in millions, but the currency is totally down. So when a country has been hit with runaway stroke hyperinflation, this is the lowest a country has gone, and such a country, even the people who are in leadership should just pack and go, because at the end of the day, the economy is stagnant, everything is stagnant, the prices of goods are rising in hundreds and thousands. You find, for example, a product that was costing 100 shillings, it is rising to 800 shillings at once. So that's a clear indicator that the inflation rate, it is in hundreds, not even in tens, it is in hundreds and thousands. If a product was costing 1,000 shillings, it rises to even 6,000. That is, the rate is in terms of hundreds and thousands, and that one is greatly affecting the economy of that particular country. So in this case, when a country has been hit by runaway inflation, what will the leaders, when they are supposed to make sure they are employing the necessary measures to control that particular inflation, so that to make the economy of that country resurface again. So those are the three types of inflation. We have talked of moderate inflation. We have talked of it is moderate stroke creeping, stroke mild. It's just, it does not, the economy does not feel the effect of this so much. So it is creeping, it is mild, it is moderate. So it is just a normal change. It's just like a normal change in terms of transactions and all other trading activities in that particular state of economy. When you come to galloping, stroke rapid, that one, the economy is feeling at a particular rate, whereby the prices of goods rising at a percentage rate of between 10 to 100. That is between 10 to 100. 10 to 100, this means that the percentage rate is between tens. It can be 10, it can be 20, it can be 30, 40, 50, 100, 100, 200, 300, but below 1,000. So that is between tens and hundreds. Then if you come to runaway is hundreds and thousands. 100. It can even be at a percentage rate of 200, 1,000, 1,200, 1,300, 1,500. That is the percentage rate. That is when the economy of that particular country has totally collapsed. And a country can be hit by such a particular, when there is massive destruction of the infrastructure, massive destruction of properties, and as a result, the country experiences more sanctions in the trading global trading organizations. For example, what has been happening in Nepal, there has been massive destruction of properties, massive destruction of the infrastructure. Then at the end of the day, the country is brought back to its factory settings. It's at zero. The new leader who is going to take over will struggle so much. The taxes will have to be hiked to the highest, so that these people will feel the pinch to reconstruct their country again. So that is what we call, that is inflation, the type of inflation called runaway stroke hyper. It is called runaway stroke hyper. Then from there we can look at what causes these types of inflation. The causes of inflation. Yes, the causes of inflation. We have got two types of causes, two causes of inflation. Two causes of inflation. We have got demand pull, and then we have got cost push. So this first cause, demand pull. Now, when you look at in business terms, the word demand refers to the state where there is willingness and ability of a buyer to buy a particular quantity of goods at a particular price over a given period of time. In this case, the law of demand applies. The higher the price, the lower the demand, and the lower the price, the higher the demand. So the factors under demand pull inflation. One, we have got increase in government expenditure, whereby if government spending on services rendered to the common mwananchi increases, then that one will also bring a great impact. It's going to create a great impact in the, it's going to create a great, to bring a great impact to the prices of goods. It's going to make money to be highly supplied, but now this value, its value will be low. The value of this particular currency will be low. Then we look at the effects of creation, credit creation. Now another one under demand pull. So we have got government expenditure, and then we have got what we call credit creation. If the commercial banks are going to advance loans at the highest percentage, if the banks, commercial banks, are going to advance loans at the highest percentage, then it's very clear that money will be highly supplied. The money will be highly supplied. When money is highly supplied, then there's a clear indicator that if I have much in my pocket, it can make me poorer because I'm going to demand more. Too much can make you poor because if I have 100 shillings, I'm used to surviving on, let's say, 50,000 shillings per month. If somebody is used to surviving at 50,000 shillings per month, then you give this person 200,000. Number one, the standard of living will change from 50,000 and sweeps 200,000. In this case, this person is going to increase his demand. They are going to increase their demand because if, for example, this is a person who used to make trips in once in a month or over a weekend. Now that they have 200,000, they are going to increase the trips, the expenditure, the spending. In fact, some of them will now change and become spendthrifts. They are going to spend up to the last coin, knowing that more is coming away, it's coming on our way tomorrow. So you find out that if the income increases, if the money in circulation increases or goes high, that's a clear indicator that that particular currency is going to lose its value. And at the end of the day, when the demand for these products, goods and services rises, at the end of the day, this the price will be higher. The price will be higher. And when price goes high, that's a clear indicator that the power, the purchasing power itself in the currency, the hard cash at hand, loses value. It loses its value or it goes down. And then number three, increase in incomes, just what we have said. If somebody was earning 50,000 and then it rises to 200,000, 300,000, all the expenditures, for example, let's say you are earning 40,000. In this case, you are paying a rent of 10,000 just in a local area. Then by good luck, your prayers hit the walls of heaven and the doors of success opens. This is a clear indicator that you will also show the world that your standard of living has changed. The life you used to live at 40,000 will not be the same life you are going to live at. It will not be the same life you are going to live at maybe 200,000. That is what we call the increase in incomes. The increase in incomes. And then we have general shortage of goods and services. So whenever there is general shortage of goods and services in the economy, that will be it is going to result into high demand, because goods come to the market, they are sold, the people are still demanding, people are still in need of such goods. At the end of the day, the people who are supplying or who are bringing this good who are selling these goods will be forced to increase the price, because going to supply goods in the market at such a rate, they will be tempted to make the highest profit, so they will be forced to increase the prices. So once the prices have increased, the money you have at hand loses value, because if you're used to buy 1 kilogram of sugar at 50 shillings, and then it has rose to 80 shillings. This means if you had 100 shillings, then you can buy 2 kgs. But now if it's 80, from 100, you buy 1, and then you get a balance of 20 shillings. So a clear indicator that when the amount of money you have at hand, it will have either lost value or it will have gained value. So in this case, it has lost value, because if the price has gone up such that if you had 100 shillings to buy 2 kilograms, now you have 100 shillings to buy 1 kilogram. That means the money you are carrying in your pocket does not have the strength of purchase, does not have the purchasing power, does not have the value of trade. So in this case, you find out that the purchasing power of a particular currency of a particular country is dependent on this. It's dependent on this factor. So those are the causes of those are the factors under demand pull inflation. We have said 1, increase in government expenditure, whereby when the government decides to spend on goods and services for the common mwananchi, it's a clear indicator that money will be highly supplied in the economy, and once money is highly supplied in the economy, the prices of goods and services will rise. Once it rises, that money loses value. Then we have looked at increase in incomes. We have looked at effects of credit creation, that is advancement of loans by the commercial banks, and also the microfinances, and also even the Shylocks. Then we also have general shortage of goods and services, which will make the demand to rise. General shortage of goods and services making the demand for such goods to rise. Then we come to the second one, which is cost push. Under cost push, we have got increase in salaries and wages. Increase in salaries and wages. So here we are talking of the demand, the customers urge to get more. Here we are talking about the cost of production. So if the cost of production of these goods and services rises, it will make the producer to increase the price so that he maximizes the profits and also gets back the cost of production. So in this case, as a result, when the cost of production is high, then this means the prices of the products will be high. The cash at hand or in our pockets will be rendered valueless when the prices are so high. Then in this case, examples of factors under cost, the cost of production. Now, for production to take place, we must have manpower. Manpower means we must have human resources. These human resources must be paid. So once we increase the spending on the human resource, that is when you increase the salaries and wages, it's very clear, it will be very clear that the effect of this increase in salaries and wages is going to create an impact on the price of the final product. As a result, the prices will be higher, and for that reason, the consumer will have to bear that burden. This means that if, for example, before the increase of the prices, the salaries and wages, he used to buy sugar at 80 shillings. Then there is increase in salaries and wages at the producer's house, at the warehouse. The next thing will be, this sugar is going to rise maybe to 100 shillings. Or even above 100 shillings. So this means the increase in salaries and wages brings a great impact to the final price of that particular product. Now, when there is general rise in the commodities and also the services, that is when inflation rate is also accompanied, also witnessed. Then second, increase in taxes. Increase in taxes. So when the taxes, for example VAT, increases, rises, or the excise tax rises, or the tax on imports and exports rises, at the end of the day, the final consumer will bear the burden. When the final consumer bears the burden, that means he has got cash at hand, but this cash is not so powerful, so strong to make him meet his daily needs. So as a result, the inflation rate will have suffered, will have gone higher. So increase in taxes brings about increase in prices. At the end of the day, the amount of money at hand or in our pockets loses value, because if you, before the taxes, if you had 1,000 shillings, if you had 1,000 shillings before the taxes, and then the taxes have been increased. Before the taxes, you used 1,000 to make a shopping that can last up to a week. If the taxes have been increased by even 2%, the shopping you are going to make for your house will not even last for 3 days. So at the end of the day, this money, this 1,000 note you have is not as strong as it used to be before the increase in taxes. It is not as strong as it used to be before the increase in taxes. Then reduction in subsidies. A subsidy is a government aid, so a reduction in subsidies or decrease. So a subsidy is a government aid to the producers to reduce or mitigate the cost of production and finally reduce the price of that product. So if the government does not subsidize production, it leaves the whole burden to the consumers, to the producers. At the end of the day, these producers will have to carry this burden back to the consumer. And then by so doing, the price of the product will rise. Once the price of the product rises, for example, by double, 3 times, then it is clear that this particular person or this particular product will be the price will not be the same again. At the end of the day, inflation rate will have surfaced or will have increased in that particular state of economy. Then we have got increase in profit margin. Now, what can a seller do to increase profit? A seller, for them to increase profit, they increase the prices. For you to maximize profit, you increase the price of the product. Let's say, for example, if you are getting a profit of 100,000 per month, and you want to increase by, let's say, 10%. You want to increase this profit by 10%. What you will do, you are going to increase the prices for you. To make this particular profit increase by 10%, you are supposed to increase the prices of the final product. At the end of the day, the people who are consuming this product will be disadvantaged because they are going to purchase the product at a higher price for you to maximize your profit. So increase in, we have got increase in profit. And then another course, we have looked at increase in salaries and wages, increase in taxes, increase in subsidies, and then we have got introduction of after-sale service. Introduction of after-sale service. Introducing after-sale service. What is an after-sale service? An after-sale service, this is a service that is offered to the consumer, to the buyer, when he buys the goods. For example, you can go get wrappers or you can go get some cartons for packaging. You pack them, so once a customer buys goods, you pack them for them free of charge, but it's not free as such. The seller will transfer this one to the final price of that particular product. You will pay it indirect. You are going to pay for it indirect. Another example of an after-sale service, delivery. You have bought something like a fridge, then they tell you there is free delivery. It is not free. These people usually lie to the consumers. It is not free. One time we will sue them. We will sue these traders who lie to people that they are offering free transport to products we buy from them. It is not free. That price, the cost of transport is included in the price of that particular product you have bought. So that is just sometimes just to play with the psychology of the consumer, so that to bring them closer to buy and buy more. So at the end of the day, when you introduce an after-sale service to your business, the final burden will rest to the consumer, because the product, the price of this particular product will rise. It's going to hike for you to get back your money or to make profit. At the end of the day, the main aim of doing business is to make profits. So there is nobody who can go to the field of trade to make losses. No. So you cannot tell me an after-sale service is a loss to the company. It is not. It is included in that particular price, but hidden somewhere. So for that reason, these are some of the factors that are causing cost push. The aspects of cost push as a cause of inflation. And then we have also looked at the factors under demand pull as a cause of inflation. So take note here. The types of inflation are here: moderate stroke creeping, galloping stroke rapid, hyper stroke runaway. The causes are only two, categorized under demand pull and then cost push. Under demand pull, we looked at increase in government expenditure, the credit creation, and so on. Cost push, increase in salaries and wages, increase in taxes, decrease in subsidies and incentives and tax holidays to the producers, then introducing an after-sale service to this particular product. So that's all about our today's lesson. Maybe in our next lesson, we are going to look at controlling inflation. What are the tools that are employed by the central bank to control inflation in a particular sector of economy? That will be our next topic.